What is up, y'all? I'm Benjamminoutdoors, and this is my channel.
Welcome back, y'all. So today we're working on the CBR600rr again. Last video we were able to get it running, thankfully. In this video, we're gonna get it back to stock completely and actually ride it. So I'm super excited for it. Y'all stay tuned, enjoy the video. So I'm gonna work on trying to raise the front end because it's lowered. So I need to unbolt the whole entire front end, which means I need to put a jack underneath the main bike and jack it up so I can push the front suspension down. So let's see where I can get underneath. There's not much I can get underneath. I don't have my pit bull stand, unfortunately. Yeah, this is gonna be tricky. Kind of need to have all the tools over with me to be able to drop this thing. So we got 12 millimeters up top. $10 mils down low. Just tighten it up a little bit. Nothing crazy until I can torque it. This is not ideal. This whole situation is not ideal. All right, so it's tight enough to where it won't fall. I need my pit bull stand though. Hooked in where it needs to be, underneath the triple tree. I got the 10 mil set to 144 inch-pounds, and I'm doing these lower. That's the lowest measurement I found. 16 for the smaller ones and 20 for the bigger ones. And that might be correct. So I might do some more research. I cannot find my manual for some reason, but I'm gonna try to get the torque spec for these, and I probably come torque these maybe a little bit more. That's pretty much it. I just gotta finish torquing it and it'll be back to normal height up here. I increased to 190 inch-pounds. That is around 16 foot-pounds. Now we got big boy out. $20 foot-pounds, so we're good. So now the triple tree's good up here. I actually have something that I want to install on it. So this is a GPR steering stabilizer. It's a V4 model, and this actually came off of one of my first bikes that I rebuilt. I think it was the 2012 Daytona 675. So this is the mounting hardware for it, and I thought I might have had to get some specialty stuff, but this seems like this might work perfectly. So I'm going to pull the steering stem nut off, and we're going to see if this thing fits on here. So that lines up perfectly. Those plugs actually go right into those Allens. So if I pull those Allens out, it should be perfect. So I'm gonna start disconnecting this the Honda OEM steering stabilizer and put this puppy on. I think these just really just hold this plastic cover on it. Nice. Perfect. Now I'm going to put the washer on. Actually, I may do no washer, to be honest, because it might not be. And the torque is 65 foot-pounds. Absolutely perfect. Now we're going to put the steering stabilizer on. Yeah, so this is not going to work off of the Daytona, obviously. But I just got to figure out some way to make something like that. Unfortunately, I got to remove the steering dampener and the upper triple tree because the bolts on the bottom of this ignition are smoked. So I have to get a grinder in here and cut it off, and I don't want to try to attempt to get a grinder in there. So I'm just going to unbolt it here and unbolt it off the steering stem and just pop it off, cut the bolts off. You can actually see that the lock was engaged and it was broken, even on the frame. It's just weird. Obviously, this VIN does not come back stolen. You know, comes back clean. So it's just someone who didn't care about, you know, their bike enough, I guess, or they lost their key. I don't know. It's weird sometimes when you get some of these cheap bikes. There we go. Now I can get the studs out. Unfortunately, I had to cut this puppy off. I used a freaking pipe wrench and I could not get that stud out. I mean, there was just no way. I mean, I put all my power, all my leverage into it, and it kept on just stripping that thing and made it like half the size. So there's no way that thing's coming out. But it's fine because I don't really need to use the ignition bolts anymore. So for the new ignition, I'm going to do this on-off switch. So I'm going to solder some wires onto these terminals. This one is ground. This one is hot in, hot out, or vice versa. And it'll illuminate. And it should fit nicely, you know, in the area right there. Now I might have to make it like a bracket below it to tighten it up, to make it really snug and not wobbly, but that'll basically be what it looks like. And obviously the light will come on when it's on. All right, there she blows. So black is gonna be obviously ground, and then that's gonna go to power. I don't have a actual plug yet. I'm not gonna hard solder that or hardwire that, so I gotta get a disconnect plug, which I have one at work, so I'll get 1 2-pin and basically put it in there. So I got some electrical tape around the switch to thicken this up so it's tighter in the ignition spot, also to protect those terminals, and then I also braided it to kind of be more rigid. So let's feed it through. Hopefully it works. Oh yeah, that's actually awesome. Get back through here. I got the wiring done. About to cut that back, but I'm gonna install these waterproof connectors, 2-pin, and we're going to make this thing where you can actually disconnect it and it's waterproof. And then I'm just gonna put the ground coming off onto here. There we go. Just gonna put in the connector and then we'll be good. Doesn't matter which one's which. So we got the plugs on there, and all you gotta do is just push it on. Looks pretty good. I got the ground attached to the old steering stabilizer, which I'm gonna actually leave there to be able to mount the bracket for the GPR. And there's the switch. I don't have it connected to power at the moment, but it's nice and firm in there and will be really nice replacement for keyed ignition. So we just received this in the mail. This is the new ECU for an 08 CBR600. So this goes to the 09, so I can put that back together. So we're gonna slap this puppy on and see if I still get the fault indicated light on the dash when it runs. All right, let's see if it cranks up fine. Now we're gonna swap out the shifter and the rod for some new parts. This was like 12 bucks and this was like 15. So, and the cheapest I could find the whole entire used setup for was like 35, 40, plus shipping. So, 25 bucks, 26 bucks, 27 bucks ain't that bad. Spin it off. Get this garbage off. We're gonna spin off. So, I believe this is righty-tighty on here. Yeah, righty-tighty. Righty-loosey. Then lefty-tighty. A little bit adjust it out. We're gonna put a little bit of Loctite on there because I've actually had this bolt leave the chat before, and that is not fun. This is a specialty bolt, so we do not want this to leave the chat. Both are tight. Heck yeah. So now I can put these pegs on too. Heck yeah. Alright, let's see if we can stand this blade up. Golly. Holy crap. My gosh. They freaking rinsed the ever-living crap out of that. Golly. So now we're going to remove these extensions. Golly! Woo! Golly! So I got some new bolts for the swing arm adjusters. I got the longest ones that were fully threaded that I could find, which was 50 millimeters. I need closer to 80 millimeters, but this will work temporarily until I get those. So it'll just be, this is just be temporary. But we're gonna go ahead and put the nuts on and thread them on. Put the wheel back on, stock location. Put a little bit of grease. So it's good. Now I gotta shorten the chain. I'm also going to add some bolts so I can put a regular stand on it. Holy crap. I don't need to cut anything. There is a second chain on here, second master link. You freaking kidding me? Everything's ghetto about this bike. Golly. I definitely need to get a new chain for sure. I'm gonna start adjusting these puppies out. That's pretty good. I'm gonna tighten it up, just temporarily right now. I actually got a package today from a guy I found on Facebook Marketplace with some parts. I paid around 115 bucks and I got a good bit of parts. So I got new rotors. Now, I didn't technically need these, but since I do have two CBR600s and I only have one good straight rotor on my other bike, my other off-road CBR, and I have some plans for that in the near future, so I may want rotors. So I paid 115 bucks and he gave me a bunch of stuff that I needed for this bike as well as that bike. Then he gave me the entire brake assembly for the rear. I really just needed the brake line for the rear because it was extended, but for an extra like 10 bucks or whatever, 15 bucks, he gave me the whole thing. Then I actually had a keyless gas cap that he got. He gave this to me for pretty cheap. So I actually had one on the tank that I have for this bike, but it didn't have the center screw-on cap, so it was kind of useless. And then the most important thing, the dog ear to make this stock height. That was the most important thing. So we're gonna go ahead and put this dog ear on real quick. Now I'm going to swap out the rear brake for the new one. I think these are better brake pads, so I'm going to put them in here. Okay, so now I'm going to bleed the brakes. Now, yes, before y'all say anything, this is dot 3. I will be doing dot 4, but this is just to test ride the bike. This is not to race with. Fill her up. I'm going to use my suction tool to start pulling fluid. Looks like this reservoir might have some stuff wrong with it. Fortunately, there's a crack in this nice colored one. We finally got the back done after basically swapping everything out, replaced everything because I guess they were bad. Hopefully the front are not bad because I don't have calipers and everything to replace it. Or I definitely don't have a master to replace it. So sucking out the fluid in master reservoirs. Alright, so still got no brakes, but that's because I got a bleeder up here. Let's see if bleeding up here helps the no brakes. I got fluid out of all those, which is good. I think I just found the issue. This seems like it's not like the master cylinder's messed up. There has to be something in. Yeah, there has to be something inside of there for it to push. And it might be too far back up in there to push it. So I might just shove something up in there and see, and put it back on there and see if it actually pushes on the master. So I just shoved a piece of metal up in there and I'm gonna see if it makes a difference. That's gonna be freaking wonderful if the master's messed up. I'm actually gonna... So we're having a problem with this plunger not moving, so I'm going to disassemble it. I'm gonna pull it off, drain it, and disassemble this thing and see if I can actually get it to work. So I was having a really hard time to try to get this master cylinder to move. So I actually hooked up to the rear master and basically bled it, and I was able to pump it and get the cylinder to pop out. It was really interesting. So I had master to master, and it works. So I got it pretty clean. So I'm going to lubricate it back up with some brake fluid, put the spring back in it, and then I'm gonna push it back up in there and see if we can get it to move nicely. I lubricated with some brake fluid, put it back together, and now it's working. Now we can finish assembling it, put it on the bike. There we go. So I finished bleeding. I was basically just bled off the top bleeder again. And once I got this back in, it works good. So it was just frozen up. So now you know you can use a rear master to push out the cylinder in the other master cylinder, which was very interesting to figure out, but it works. So now I got front and rear brakes. Everything is good except the exhaust is a little loose. I never actually even showed you all that really. But nothing is connected. I just did that in terms of letting it run, and so it could be a little bit quieter. But I need to shore that up a little bit. But it's raised up, and all I have to do now is tighten that exhaust up, and I'll be able to take it for a test ride. So before I test ride, I'm going to do an oil change. So I'm going to pull the plug out. First oil change in who knows how long. It's nasty. So we also got a new plug to be able to, so we can tie it off for tracking, as well as a little magnet. So we can catch any type of bearing material or anything like that. Since it is gonna be a race bike, I'm gonna do full synthetic, obviously expensive, or more expensive than the stuff I've been running in the off-road bike, off-road CBR. And then I'm going to put a new filter on it. So I'm going to lubricate it up and then throw it on. Now we're going to throw some, oh shoot. Oh crap. Mother trucker, freaking dumb idiot. Didn't even put the plug in yet. What a freaking imbecile. Golly. All right, now that I got the drain plug in, I can fill it up now. Golly, what a freaking idiot. So we got the reservoir on, so we're gonna put some coolant in it. Should be good. This little cap on. So we got some like fairing brackets that I modified, bent, and got to where I could clamp it on the exhaust, and it is very stout. Now, these are not that pretty, but again, this is gonna be a track bike, so I'm not too worried about aesthetics, as long as it doesn't look like, you know, a crackhead did it, and it's solid, then I'm not worried about it. Unfortunately, I think the swing arm's broken, or sorry, twisted a little bit. Obviously, that might be obviously a little tweaked a little too, but you know, it's going to be a race bike, so it's not going to be the prettiest. But overall, I think I'm about ready to test drive it. So I actually put the headlights on. Nothing's wired up, but it looks more normal. You know, and I also replaced it with a broken stay. It's got a little broken tab right here. These were actually off of that green CBR that I rebuilt and then wrecked it again. So I had to buy new headlights. But overall, it's coming out really nicely. So I'm pretty happy, excited to test ride it. Everything's good. sounds like a 2-cylinder. So we have a cylinder or so that's not working. Not sure exactly what it is. So we got an issue. You can hear it. Sounds rough. Sounds like it's missing a cylinder or so. So we got some issues. We're gonna have to tear it down. Hopefully it's not bad compression, because obviously that would mean engine tear down, most likely. I mean, it could, potentially could be valves, but I don't think at 14,000 needs valve adjustments. So I just rode it a few minutes ago for the first time, and surprise, surprise, it's not running right. For 500 bucks, what do you expect? I'm not gonna be able to get to it in this video. In the next video, I'm gonna tear this down and try to figure out what is going on. So one thing that I noticed while riding is it sounds like a Ninja 650, like a parallel twin, which means it's got 2 cylinders parallel next to each other, and it just sounds different. And it cross-plane crank, like the R1, can kind of sound like that, but it does not sound like a typical inline 4. So right off the bat, I could tell there's something not right. And there's occasionally, sometimes it would feel extremely underpowered. So I don't know if it was just down 1 cylinder and then it would go down 2 cylinders. So it was only 2 working cylinders, or if it was just that 1 cylinder acting up more often. I'm not sure. It could be a cylinder that's got an ejector that's faulty, that's, firing sometimes, not firing other times. Or if it's, low compression, or if it's, bad valves, because we saw in the first video how dirty the valves were and how there was crap on it and that it could have got damaged. I'm not sure. There could be countless potential problems with it. I don't know. I just gotta, tear it down, do a compression test, clean the spark plugs, or get new spark plugs, maybe check the valve clearances. There's no telling. I just got to tear into it and figure out whether we can get this thing running 100% or we need to part it out, because I don't want to rebuild this engine. This is not a bike that's worth rebuilding. The frame has got marks all over it. It's not something I want to dump 500, 600 bucks into, of time/money and parts. So, we'll see. But until next time, catch you on the flip side.